All that was heard was 2 shots. The body of Chalino Sanchez was found lying next to a road in Culiacan, Sinaloa with 2 holes in his head. Chalino Sanchez is one of Mexico's most iconic figures and a huge influence in today's narco corrido music. How does a person with such misfortune become so iconic? And how did he end up with 2 bullet holes behind the head? It was May 16, 1992, just one day before the tragic event. During a concert, he received a letter from someone in the public. Chalino reads the paper carefully, his face turns yellow, he wipes the sweat with one hand and begins to sing Tengo el alma enamorada as if nothing had happened. The stories that have surrounded the life of Chalino Sanchez Felix have created a mythical character, a legend that walks a fine line that separates reality and fiction, violence, problems with the law, an unforeseen fatal outcome that lacks clarity still 31 years later. He was born in the small town of El Guayabo in 1960 near the center of Culiacan, surrounded by violence that was emerging in Sinaloa. He was the youngest of a humble and large family of 8 siblings. He grew up in a place with few opportunities and surrounded by violence. That same violence was what made him be violent. His father died when he was 6 years old, and his older brother, Lucas Sanchez, took care of his siblings. Lucas described him in an interview on YouTube with Margarito Music as a violent person. This perception supports one of the most widespread theories of his youth. Something that would mark Chalino's life early on was when his sister was inappropriately touched by a man, and yes, I mean the word that rhymes with grape, when Chalino was just around 15 years old. 2 years later, Chalino would run into the man again and shoot him in the head. This was shortly before fleeing to the United States in search for a better life. In 1984, at the age of 24, Chalino accumulated a season of misfortunes. One of his brothers was found shot dead in a Tijuana hotel room. The singer narrated it in one of his corridos, which he named after his brother Armando Sanchez, in the city of Tijuana. That same year that Armando lost his life, Chalino went to jail, but it is said that in prison, Chalino made contact with the criminal world, writing corridos on request. He told the stories of those criminals. After leaving prison, he crossed the border without papers towards California. He began doing informal jobs, from working in the Coachella fields to buying and selling cars. At the end of the 1980s, he was introduced to producer Angel Parra, who led him to record his first cassette at the San Angel Studios, El Corrido del Sapo. Chalino was the voice of the underworld at the time, in which there were drug traffickers between the border and other types of crimes. He also sang of love. The stories told about Chalino being a brave and violent guy were confirmed in 1992 during his performance at the Plaza Los Arcos bar in the city of Coachella, California. Nacho Hernandez, a player from Chalino's band at the time, narrates on a podcast the story of a man in the audience, Edward Gallegos, who became furious with Chalino for not interpreting El Gallo de Sinaloa. He pulled out a pistol and fired. Chalino, who regularly went on stage armed, also pulled out his gun, which started a shootout, killing one member of the audience and injuring several more. Chalino was hospitalized due to the impacts of the bullets, and Gallegos imprisoned. This story only helped increase Chalino's popularity and made his legend grow. Angel Parra, his producer, said for his first tape, around 300 cassettes were made, and for his last one, 31,000 cassettes were made. Keep in mind, this was in the 1990s. A few months after becoming famous in the United States, Chalino returned to Culiacan to give some concerts. At this time, it was recommended that he not travel to Sinaloa, but Chalino didn't listen. He was a proud man, and it is said that he really liked walking through the streets of Culiacan, showing how he overcame the original situation of backwardness, poverty, and misery. He walked around surrounded by people and good vehicles. The times people would see him, he was like a normal citizen, but prominent. In Culiacan in the 1980s, there was a remarkable and visible predominance of the cartel activities and organized crime. The second generation of the Sinaloa cartel was developed, led by Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo, and with prominent names like Amado Carrillo and Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán. On May 15, 1992, 4 months after the Coachella incident and during the performance at the Salón Bugambilias in Culiacan, Chalino was handed a note from someone in the crowd. The note is believed to have been a death threat, but that has not been confirmed. A video recording of the song Alma Enamorada shows Chalino crumpling up the note before singing the song. After midnight, Chalino drove away from the club with 2 of his brothers, a cousin, and several young women. They were pulled over by a group of armed men in black Chevrolet Suburbans. They showed state police ID cards and told Chalino their commander wanted to see him. Chalino agreed and got into one of their cars while the others stayed behind. The following day at 6 in the morning, 2 farmers found Chalino's body by an irrigation canal near Highway 15 near the neighborhood of Los Laureles, Culiacan. He was blindfolded and his wrist had rope marks. Chalino was shot twice in the head. Till this day, Chalino's death remains a mystery. No one knows who or why they killed him. Some say it is because of the lyrics he wrote. Some say he was sleeping with the wife of a cartel leader. But till this day, the only thing that is certain is that the stories that have surrounded the singer have made him a legendary character. Whoever wanted Chalino dead screwed up. He didn't kill him. He ended up making him eternal. Long live Chalino Sanchez.